There you go. Okay. Let's call people in. Hey everybody. Let me just quickly share that I'm live on Facebook. Just sharing that I'm live on Facebook, guys. I am here. Okay, I don't know how this works. I thought I'll see some. Okay. There you go. Oh, okay. I can see the live chats. Fantastic. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, guys, let's wait a few minutes and then we will start. As promised, I wanted to do this video because I wanted to discuss everything pertaining to the first episode of my new brand show, my new show called Yes, I Have HIV. I hope you can hear me properly. I hope you can see me. Please let me know if there's anything wrong with this live YouTube video. I've never done a live before, so this is the first time. Please be patient with me, but I think we're good to go. Okay, so first things first, guys, I have a new show. I've been communicating this. I've been sharing this news for the last, 4 or 5 months. Just to give you a little bit of a background. So I was minding my own business, okay? I was minding my own business and I got approached by Honey TV to feature in one of their shows called My Horror Love Story, right? This was, what was it, beginning of the year? I think it was beginning of the year. And at first, when they approached me, I was like, I don't know. I've kind of told my story a couple of times. I have done a number of interviews. I'm not sure why, I would do another interview, another TV interview, unless there's a different angle, that we are going to approach the topic from. But so I declined at first. I was like, no, man, I think the story everyone knows. I don't think there's anything else I can say. So I think it was researchers, that called me. And then a couple of weeks after that, I got a call from the head of content from Honey TV, and she was like, no, you have to come to the show. We have to have you. This is, a totally different, station, and we've never covered your story. You're going to open it. We are going to open it up to another different market. People need to hear your story. So I was like, okay, let me do it. Okay. So we confirmed the date, ne? And while we were busy, working towards the interview, she called me again and she was like, I have something interesting for you and I think you're going to like it. I'm like, oh, okay. And back then I had gone back to work. If you've been following me for quite some time, I got retrenched last year and I was unemployed for like about 3 months. So in March, I went back to work and she was like, no, I have the perfect opportunity for you. So she was busy at some conference, in Kenya or somewhere, and they were basically being encouraged to capture real stories from real people. And then this idea came about that they want me to host a brand new show where I help people disclose their HIV statuses to their loved ones. And I basically, hold their hand throughout the whole process, offer support and all of that. I'm thinking to myself, this girl is crazy. There is just no way. This is okay. There's one thing, being interviewed, but hosting a show on a national TV, on a actually an international, station. That's just insane, right? But anyway, I really prayed about it. I was like, God, I know this is from you. This is what I've always said, eventually I want to do. I want to help people, and I don't want any boundaries, whether it's countries, or anything like that. I don't want any boundaries to withhold my story. So this is it. And then we did like a first episode. When was it? No, not first episode, first pilot. Pilot episode. This was about 4 or 5 months back, right? So it went well, and then they confirmed that no, we're going ahead in July. We are definitely starting to shoot, ne? And then we started shooting for about two and a half weeks, ne? It was scheduled for 2 weeks, and we're actually going to do like about 2 seasons within that space of time. But because it's a relatively new show, I don't want to lie, and that's why I'm doing this, so that I can also provide you some of the things that are happening, behind the scenes. It was relatively hard to get stories, and I definitely understand where they're coming from, because if I had to, think back, my mindset, where I was a couple of years ago, would I have gone necessarily to a national TV show to disclose to my mom or my family members? I don't know, right? And no one knows the show. They don't know what kind of support is going to be offered. Some people will confirm, and then in between they're like, no, I'm not sure, I'm scared. And the person that I thought I was going to disclose to, they said something. It was just a mess, guys. But again, it's part of some of the complexities of shooting a show. That is what I was told, ne? So, but everything went well. We shot season 1 and about 13 episodes for season 1. And then yesterday, it was the premiere of the first episode of Yes, I Have HIV. The reason why I wanted to do these videos is because, obviously, guys, we shoot one episode over probably about 2.5 hours. And then, but then it ends up being like 18 minutes, right? So obviously there's a lot of editing that you need to do, a lot of things. You're like, oh, I wish they didn't cut that, because I really liked, how we blended with something else. But at the end of the day, guys, you have to fit in 18, you have to fit in 2.5 hours within 18 minutes. Ne? So this is the behind the scenes, and some of the things that might not have come across, when you were watching the episode yesterday. And I felt personally that it was like, I don't know if it was me. Please tell me if you were watching yesterday. It went quick, right? I was still listening to Gamo's story, and then the next thing, I'm in the picture, Dada is in the picture, then there's a counselor, and then that's the end, right? But rest assured, there is a lot of work that went behind. So, the first thing, I'm going to want to do, let me recap Gamo's story. So Gamo has a younger sibling. She's the oldest, and they lost her mom while she was still a teenager, right? And then thereafter, I think she went to live with her grandmother, right? After living with her grandmother got sick as well, and then the only other person that would have acted as a mother to her was her aunt. I think it's her mom's sister, right? But the dynamics and the complexities of a family sometimes. There's a bit of a strain between the relationship that she has with her aunt. Aunt has kids, and eventually it looked like she could no longer stay in that setup, and hence now it came across that she took up the responsibility of making sure that she's the one who's taking care of her younger sister, right? So mom passed away. before mom passed away, Yena Uti, she did not have a relationship with her father, her biological father. But along the way, when she was about 8 or 9, mom met stepfather, right? Stepfather, and then they had a child, which is Gamo's younger sister. Mom passed away. They still have a good relationship with the stepfather, but still, and he does like all that he can with whatever resources that he has available to him to support them. But I don't want to lie, it came across that it's still relatively hard, and that's why she assumes some of the responsibilities within that setup. Okay, so when she came into the show, she had been living with HIV for the past 8 years. How she contracted HIV, good girl, church girl, and I can relate from that angle, you know. Could do no wrong, listens to her elders, goes to church, and all of those things. And then meets someone. She had been dating before, but it was never anything serious. Or anything sexual. Then meets this person, lets her guard down. They have an intimate relationship for quite a number of years, and her son was born, I think, 2011. I think. I stand to be corrected, you guys, but 2011, ne? And then 2 years later, right, or 3 years later, him and the son's father break up. Ne? She moves right along, goes into another relationship. But in between that, Gamo hears that ex-wife is sick back home. She hears through her friend, ne? But hey, brother man there by the wherever, ne, is sick, ne, and no one knows what is going on, ne? And she's like, hey, bo. And then what is going on? Okay, time goes by. Then one eventful day, she goes to the clinic, goes to fetch her contraceptives, ne? And then she decides, oh, okay, there's a door that says HIV counseling. Let me go in there. She goes in there, tests. To cut the long story short, she tests positive for HIV. Ne? Now, it appears also, Mugai ex ne, had told Gamo's friend that he had been living with HIV also. Ne? So, however, we do not know whether HIV tests were not done during pregnancy. Thank you for asking that. How I see the story, or how I hear the story, it seems like she had contracted the HIV after the child was born. Because there's no way that it is a routine check that when you are pregnant, it is routine that you test for HIV. And she did say when we were talking that was done, and she had tested HIV negative. Ne? And hence her child is born HIV negative. So it seems like she had contracted HIV right after the child was born. Ne? Okay, so where was I can't remember where I was. Oh, and then she tests positive now for HIV. At this point in time, she's with someone else. Ne? She discloses to the person immediately that she's HIV positive. It seems like they were protecting themselves from the start, so she never infected the boyfriend, but was very supportive. The relationship was serious, to a point where even the guy had promised to marry her, introduced her to the family, but it seems like the relationship did not work well. Ne? So what you did not see in the show was that when she wrote to us, she wanted to disclose to two people. She wanted to disclose to her aunt, and the aunt that raised her after mom passed away, and after grandmother passed away, and then it was the aunt who kind of stepped in for quite some time. Wanted to disclose to the aunt, and also wanted to disclose to the stepfather. The reason why she had waited so long, particularly with the aunt, one, because of that strained relationship between the two of them. And also, she had mentioned this, that there had been discussions in her presence where people living with HIV had been mocked, discriminated, and all of that. So she had feared that what if when I tell them that I'm HIV positive, they also treat me a certain way? So I might as well just deal with it alone, without the fear of being judged, victimized, and discriminated. Ne? And also with the stepfather, and this is a question, a comment that came through a lot yesterday, that the positive response from the father, why wouldn't she have known beforehand that he could have possibly reacted in that manner and possibly gotten like support like way beforehand, like 8 years later? And this is something that I'm going to discuss much later on. Ne? This is what I'm thinking based on my personal story. However, it ended up being stepfather. Aunt last minute, auntie usabu feziso. Sabu feziso, when she wakes up and she's like, you know what, I'm not feeling it. And then it appears she's that type of person, because she had lied and said, the aunt should come to Johannesburg for something or the other. I can't remember the lie. So when they come to the show, they have to lie to the person and say they want something, they're going to be featured in some interview, and they should come through, whatever the case may be. So it seems like she had fell for the lie, but then on the day of the interview, she was like, no, I'm not coming anymore. And there was no valid reason like why she was not coming. She was just saying, I'm not coming, right? I guess again in Xhosa we say ebebethelwa. I don't know. So we ended up with the stepfather. Ne? I personally feel also would have been a very interesting conversation between her and the aunt, to also basically iron out a couple of things in terms of why their relationship is strained, and why they've been distant for quite some time. Here's a twist, Kengoku. Ne? When Gamo wrote to the show, Gamo has been living positively with HIV for the past 8 years. Gamo has been living openly with HIV for the past, I'll say, I think about 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. So what I mean about that is that Gamo has a public YouTube channel where she shares her journey about living with HIV, right? So the first thing that came to my mind was like, Mogel, I'm sure, aunt, and then the one you are calling knows what's going on, right? Because aunt probably has daughters, or aunt, has sons, and you're more or less the same age. They're on social media. You openly share, your story on social media and on your YouTube channel. Don't you think that your aunt already knows that you're HIV positive? And she says, probably, but the reason why she still wanted to go with the story was because even in an instant where aunt knows through someone else, whether it's the aunt's daughters or any other family member, they have never had an open conversation about her living with HIV. She's never asked her about it. She's never said anything. Right? So she wanted that opportunity where they can discuss openly about the fact that whatever do you have any questions? This is what happened. This is, the kind of support I would love from you, and all of those things. Yeah, what? So I was like, okay, that makes sense. That's the aunt part. But what about dad? What about dad? What about stepfather? And then she says, no, definitely stepfather doesn't know, because he's also not technology savvy, right? So stepfather definitely does not know that she's living with HIV. Okay, so what else did I want to say? Oh, so this thing about why she did not disclose early. Ne? As I've said before, I've seen a lot of comments even from yesterday. Udada, stepfather was there. Gamo disclosed to the stepfather. Stepfather really reacted very well, was very supportive. He's 1 in a million. Why did Gamo not think that the father would react in that manner? Like, She knows her stepfather. They are communicating. So why couldn't she assume that he would have never changed his stand or his support towards her? If she would have, disclosed quite early, 8 years back, imagine the kind of support that she would have received from the father. To some degree, I understand where these comments are coming from, but then I want to also make it very personal. Ne? It's the same thing if you had to say, why did I not disclose to my mom earlier? Right? Because Mama reacted very well. She's supportive. Yeah, she was hurt, she also needed to go through her own journey of me living positively with HIV. Also, at the expense of everyone else, like the public, the church, our community, the rest of the family. But eventually, she did not change, her position as a mother. So why did I not disclose earlier? Guys, I don't want to lie. Let me be very, very honest. If I would have disclosed to my mom earlier on in 2012, I don't think I would be here. Either one of us would not have made it. Okay, I'm really going to be honest about that. Either one of us would not have made it because I don't think I was in the right state of mind to be dealing with my own HIV status to come to terms with me being HIV positive and many other things that followed after the HIV diagnosis, and also deal with the possible disappointment that may. And because it was all in my head, it was not about mama, it was not about my mom, but it was all in my head that could you possibly deal with the possible disappointment that is going to come from your mom? And I could not. I just could not comprehend all of that. And that's why when I speak to my doctor about this, not all the time, please do not quote me on this and please hear me correctly. I'm not saying this applies to everyone. I'm just saying in a case of Gamo Nam, late disclosure was actually the best thing for us. Late disclosure was the best thing for us. Now, there's advantages and disadvantages when it comes to that. The advantage is that obviously you get the time to deal with yourself. You get the time to deal with yourself without the prying eyes of other people. Ne? However, the disadvantage is that you are alone also. So you have to deal with your thoughts, your suicidal thoughts, your depression, having to also come to terms that you have to take your medication. There's no support structure, there's no support system. So that is a disadvantage of now not being able to have people that you can discuss freely, your HIV status. So please understand where Gamo, the likes of Gamo and I are coming from. That even though we know people, even though we want to say we know our family members, but please understand that it is not as easy as it sounds. And you're going to see from the rest of the show as well. There was one particular guy who really took offense that the friend took a lot of time to disclose the HIV status to him. He's like, Samba sonke, we groove together, we share everything together, we talk about everything. Why didn't you tell me this? I thought we were friends. It really became hectic at one point, and I needed to step in and say, it's not about you. I understand that you are hurt. I understand that you want to make sure by your friend is okay, because we are how you define your friendship. But at the end of the day, it is not about anything that you may have done. It is not about anything that you may have said. But it is about the state of mind of that person and the fear of the unknown. And unfortunately, there is nothing you can do or say about it until that person is ready, until that person has come to a point where they have now accepted and ready to talk about their status. So I'm really talking also to someone that may experience this, whether when you are living with HIV or you might be on the receiving end of someone disclosing their HIV status to you. Whether how long they took to tell you, I'm hoping there's a level of understanding that you honestly going to have. There's a level of understanding that I'm hoping you are going to have when it comes to this. So I understand where Gamo once again is coming from, why she had to wait so long to disclose to the stepfather. The other thing that I wanted to tell you, Gamo was a hard one to crack. Okay, you must remember she assumed the responsibility of being a deputy parent in her teenage years, right? And then her HIV diagnosis, and then having to venture out on her own, making sure that she creates some kind of living for her and her sister, basically ngabo bababini, and she's assuming the responsibility of taking care of both of them. Yabo? So umntu onjeyana, and they've gotten accustomed to protect themselves. I don't know if you get me. Yeah. So when she walked in, I mean, guys, even just from reading the stories, I was getting emotional. I was getting triggered. Yeah. So I thought it would be natural. Yeah, for people that are coming to the show, it doesn't matter how long you've been living with HIV. Yeah, I've been living with HIV for almost 10 years. I get triggered, as you saw from the show, right? But she came in, she's like, hey, how's everyone doing? Yes, I've been living positively with HIV. I am fine, I'm using my story to inspire others. I have a YouTube channel. And I'm like, Gale? Sana kalo. Never. No. Take a little bit back. But I was also trying to remind her that as much as I appreciate, how you've come terms with your HIV status, but there's two things you need to remember. One, there's someone that is going to be introduced to a status for the first time. Ne? So you need to take account, you need to take note of that. Ne? And also, number two, I would just want to understand you better. And hence I had included that story about me personally struggle with pill fatigue. Sometimes like taking a pill every day is just tiring. I've shared this before. I get tired, okay? I get tired. I do not like taking pills. I do not like taking pills. Ne? And then that's when I cracked her. Ne? Where I had to dig deep in terms of where are your sensitive areas? And we need to deal with those things, right? And I could see her son was that sensitive area for her. She had disclosed to her son a number of years ago. Her son is her support system. She said on the show as well that it's her son that continues to give her strength to carry on, even during the time where she did not want to take her pills. It's a son that reminds her, Ma, it's 9 p.m. or 8 p.m. It's time to take your pills. Did you take your pills? So she was getting emotional about how he had grown to also take up that responsibility at a young age, and having to just understand the whole concept of HIV. Does he really understand? Yeah, I had mixed feelings about it. Yeah, one. I just wanted to know more, but obviously we had limited time to talk about it in terms of how did you disclose to your son? Does he actually really understand what is happening, what HIV is, what mechanisms did you use? And now that you're going to be on national TV, I'm talking freely about your story. You have done that on YouTube, on your YouTube channel. How is the response, either from his friends, from school, or anything like that? But we never got the opportunity to do so. Maybe I can just host her on my YouTube channel and we can discuss further. Ne? And then, guys, what I did not expect, so busy Gamo get disclosing to the dad account. Then Gamo so dad is like, no, I understand, my child, as long as you take care of yourself, make sure that you take your medication, every day. And when you meet someone, make sure that you protect yourselves, eat right, you're going to live longer. And I'm like, how about that? That's nice. Seems very current. Because you never know with our parents, guys, especially when it comes to HIV. I know, like, this personally from my mom, right? Her mom, that is very current. So that's why I asked that you seem to be, responding well to this news. Have you ever been exposed, to anyone that was HIV positive? Or what do you understand, about people living with HIV? And then he's like, if I can just say something. I'm like, say it, Dada, say it. And he's like, I'm just like Gamo. Ne? Hebo. So at first, I didn't know what he meant, but I'm just like Gamo. And then until he said, no, the virus that he has, I also have. I'm like, okay. That totally took me by surprise. But I love the fact that you can't see it from my face. But honestly, I was shocked. Ne? I did not expect that. It was something I don't think anyone expected, because even from reading Gamo's story, it seems like a very straightforward story. Oh, this is easy peasy. She's just going to disclose to the stepfather. Ideally, I think we wanted the aunt, but listen, we'll do what we have to do. Let's go and get on with the story. And then the twist with the stepfather, that the stepfather also has been living with HIV for the past 20 years. And then Gamo didn't know. And Dada also obviously didn't know Gamo's HIV status. I think also, this is what I had said when I was closing the show, that this is very common. This is very, very common. There's another story that I'm not going to share now. It's very common where, because of this fear also, I guess, of this fear, they hide each other's statuses from each other. But can you imagine the kind of support they would have given each other if they would have disclosed their HIV statuses quite early? To make you like a very practical example, Udada had been living with HIV for plus minus 20 years. Ne? Ukamo has been living with HIV for 8 years. If Ukamo had gone to Udada and gone and disclosed her HIV status, I guarantee you that there's some of the load that Gamo carried over the years that she would not have carried, because she would have found someone that related, Yamana, to her at a much deeper level. Much deeper level. So I was really, this is actually the first episode that we shot, besides the pilot. And in between trying to find stories, and obviously we got a lot of heat also from social media about the relevance of the show. And right after we shot, the story, we shot that episode, that's when I was reminded why it was important to have such a platform. I was reminded why it was so important to have that platform, because those guys would have carried on not knowing each other's statuses and not knowing how to possibly support each other, if anything had to happen to either of them, because this journey is unpredictable, but I'm so happy that they got that. And yeah, man, it was beautiful. It was really beautiful. And I'm so happy that I got to be part of that. And we continue to chat to Gamo, and she's continuing to be positive, and even Dad and I continues to give his support as well. Man, guys, it was beautiful, man. I don't know what else to say. It was really, really beautiful. Yeah. I think that was the episode in a nutshell, and some of the things that I wanted to share that you might not have seen, right? And then other thing, did you see how good I looked? Shame. Guys, I looked very nice. Did you so glad that I did my teeth way before the show started. Yes, you know, no more crooked teeth or yellow, you know, or goldish teeth. And I loved how the conversation was flowing, because the other thing I said to the producers is that, listen, I want nosy, and then the nosy that everyone knows, you know, the girl next door, the girl we can relate to, you know, the girl we can have a conversation with. I want that nosy to come across, and I'm so happy it did. I didn't have to alter, you know, myself to accommodate a certain character or anything like that. The show was not scripted. I had the freedom to ask whatever question that I wanted to ask. There's another episode that you're going to see where I was like, I can't believe I asked that. So I'm so grateful that I got to be me. I honestly got to be me. When you watch the show, I truly believe that came across. Okay. So we have about, hi guys, we're about 5 minutes. So let me know if you have any questions relating to the show, relating to the first episode. Please note that I'll be doing this every Mondays. And the show is every Sunday at 10 p.m. on channel DSTV channel 173. There is a repeat on Monday at 6 in the morning, 6 a.m. There is a catch up. There are episodes that are available on catch up. Also, I'm going to confirm, it seems like there is another repeat on Sunday at 2, but I'm going to confirm that. So you can watch the episodes if you missed any. But yeah, I'm so happy that you get to be part of this journey. I'm so happy. I'm really, really happy. We're going to change lives, guys. And that's what all matters. Okay. Thanks. You guys are so nice. Okay. It was not it seems like it was not your first time. It was my first time. You guys are so nice. Okay, do you have any questions? Likamba, hayi jonga thina pha kweli lizwe sikhaphe wena. I love you. Cindy, it is Honey TV at DSTV channel 173. Channel 173. School is working. He's on a business trip. Yeah, I'm alone. He's on a business. He left today. Anyway, okay, guys, if you have no questions, thank you so much for joining me today. Until next time, mwah, mwah, mwah. I don't know where you stop. Okay, I think I know. Bye, guys.